This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your sunrise safari. This is not Lauren speaking. This is, in fact, my new friend, a praying mantis. He's decided to take over the steering for today, and I am more than happy with that. Of course, we're going to be coming to you live from many different locations today, and we're going to be looking at many different creatures, large and small, because that's what it's all about when you're on a safari bumble. So everyone, get on board. It's a pleasure to have you. It's time for your live safari through the African bush. It's great to have you all here as we're about to start bumbling. There's now 3 of us on my vehicle. I'm going to work the pedals, and this guy is going to work the steering. Isn't he or she, I'm not sure, possibly a she, gorgeous? What a start to the morning. Bright green colours, I love it. My name is Lauren. I do have Davy on camera, and I do have the mantis on the steering today. Now we're right outside camp. We haven't travelled very far because I wanted to share this with you all, this magnificent creature. If you look at the specialised adaptations, you see those legs that do come from the thorax, but they're starting right underneath the head here, where Davy was just showing you. This is a specialised adaptation of the elongated and enlarged front legs. Look at the claws. You see that? Not very scary to us, but if you're a tiny little insect, this must be terrifying. Alien-like, actually. But of course, all this action that you are seeing right now is live. We are coming to you live from the African wilderness, and you must talk to us. How do you do that? You send in your questions using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, @FC on the YouTube chats, or you can head over to the website, register with us, and submit your questions on the live safari page. Kids, if you're watching, please, please, please do talk to us. You can send in your questions via email, kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now you can see the antenna. He's very gentle, this little guy, watching everything I do. Soft, soft antenna, highly sensory. The sensory organs to figure out what's going on around. And believe it or not, in here, he's got a lot of complicated mouth parts. He's a predator, carnivorous. And of course, there's lots of complicated mouth parts in there that we can't even really begin to see. The eyes are huge, and this tells you he or she is highly visual, using their eyesight to, of course, catch insects, as well as the fact that, well, they just stand still. If we look at the back of the body, got a long thorax. You go all the way down. You'll see that he or she does have wings. They can fly, but not so gracefully. They sort of just pop into the air and thump down onto the ground, but it is an escape mechanism for all those predators who want to eat it. The wings do open, and they're actually pink inside. And Davy, if we can just take a look at the feet down here, you'll see they're actually specialised for grasping. So although they're small and thin, and potentially they might look weak to us, they're not. You see right at the end, they've got a hook. And the segmented legs, you can see where it joins, all the joints. A key feature of insects, of course. Now there's a nip in the air today. There's been a nip in the air every single morning this week. I really think that winter is coming. But it's Davy and I's last day today. We will be back in a few weeks, don't worry. So I hope to find all the animals today. And Steve and Trishala will be swapping out. They will be arriving tomorrow. So you'll get to bumble in the jungle with Miss Trishala and Steve. Did you get that name, Davy?
Sanj.
Sanj, you're 11 years old. And you're asking about the green eyes. Does it help to see in the dark? Now, this praying mantis eyes are very, very green. Discotheque. But they're actually diurnal. And what diurnal means is that they're active during the day. Why? Well, they are ectothermic, not like us. We're endothermic, and their muscles and all their body is powered by the sun. So when it's too cold, like now, this mantis is probably not going to be able to move very far. It's too cold. He or she needs to wait until the sun comes up, and they're solar powered, which means they're normally not active at nighttime. So the fact that the eyes are bright green, although it looks very discotheque and alien-like to us, that doesn't actually help it see in the nighttime. The eyes will be made up of lots and lots of little lenses, and I don't know if you're able to see, but there's a pupil there. And it does follow. He's looking at me right now. I can see you looking at me, beautiful. You are just lovely. You're welcome to come on a bumble with us. Or you can just rest and do absolutely nothing. Yeah, I thought so. Wants to rest until that sun comes up. Okay, of course, we're going to put this little, not so little actually, praying mantis somewhere safe. But now let's take a look at the weather across all our locations.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to Juma, Private Game Reserve. Sitting at the Hyena Dam this morning looking at the beautiful Woodland Kingfisher in the mist. When we get here, we're actually hardly to see even water. Now it's burning up slightly because the sun is rising from our side. So not having a rain at all, looks like it. My name's Andrew. On camera I have Impo again this morning. So we came to start here at the Hyena Dam. But looks like it's also could be one of the male hippo that he was honking around the whole night. Always great for the birds to start their day by warming up, sitting on a very open, just like that Woodland Kingfisher. So sun's coming through. Soon it's going to be all properly dry off. And I love being around watering hole because they can get the various different food, but of course they don't actually fish, they don't do fish. They are woodland. Totally asking what kind of different species of kingfishers found in Juma. So there's a smallest one is a striped kingfisher, brown-hooded kingfisher, grey-headed kingfisher, that's slightly rare. And then there's a pied kingfisher, so as well as giant kingfishers. So this is number 6, Woodland Kingfisher. So it's quite I think few of them. So 6 all different. So a giant kingfisher and a pied kingfisher. And also there is a malachite kingfisher as well, but those one very much hide in water or in the reeds. And they pick me. So sorry, we have like 7 different kingfishers. So it's quite a lot. But we've often seen woodlands kingfisher because they are woodlands. They hunt in the dry land. Of course, being close to water, they sometimes fly into water and then get wet, go back to perch and preen again, over and over. Species searching around or looking for any movement of this insect. They have very strong beak though. BFJ, so you're saying it's such a beautiful color indeed. So look from the beak, their rise, head, and out wings, just before the tail's another, color again. So it's got there's a giant kingfisher, everyone. This is the kingfisher I was just mentioning that we have also in Juma, but very rare. But if you look at the size and look at the beak, did you see how the weaker one get out of the way? The bigger one take the spot. And this one specifically deal with a fish. Usually it doesn't stay long in one place because that's how they hunt. So we're so fortunate to have this bird flying close to us and perched right there. Oops, defecation. See, went. That's how they do. It will change waters quite often. So if there's nothing in here that is really wanted to hunt, then it's going to fly somewhere different water hole. And we got our resident male hippo over here, Gary Dam, as you can see. And he's just resting there. although the mist looks like it's all burned up, so it's going to be another beautiful day. Looks like it. So this male hippo, he might have been out the whole night. And this is how they have to do for them to be able to feed, eat grasses, reeds. Many of places where there's so many reeds in rivers, and they love being in a river because of those various different reeds they would feed on. But out here, there's not much of a reed, so they have to get out and land. Graze grasses. Before sunrise, return back to the very same water hole or different watering hole. Darcy, and so you're saying he still looks sleepy. It looks like, I know every now and then, checking us out. But he probably either touched the bottom, and they can float as well. They can control their body in the water. When they have to go down, they just go down, and then when they have to stay like that, and they'll stay like that. So Sam, you're asking if hippo can get any disease from dead water. I'm not 100% sure. They a lot of times seen in this type of water where for human it's not clean, but for animals, such as all animals, hippos and elephants, are cleaned. But I don't know if they get disease. The water is a home for them, unless if maybe that water is contaminated. Some various chemical was poured in there, or I think so. And the reason is all by himself. This is something to do with the dominate. When the male hippo, grown up, started to dominate, and this is the challenge. Because then you need to win the female somewhere where other males have a lot of females somewhere. Maybe he doesn't have access, or you lost that fight. So if that means he lost the fight, he won't have a female for now, or maybe slightly longer. So I'm gonna carry on and search around here. I'll do band research, see if maybe any lions came to Juma last night.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human.
We get asked quite regularly what are the differences between African and Asian elephants. We caught up with Haresh, who's from Leopard Trails, which is based in Sri Lanka.
Of course, size and weight is the first thing you notice. The African elephant is much bigger than the Asian elephant. Tusks. In the Asian elephant, it's a very small percentage of male elephants only who have tusks. I was told that there's a theory that the African elephant's ear is in the shape of Africa. The Asian elephant has a much smaller ear. The elephant represents the bush and the jungle in Sri Lanka in a quintessential manner, and I think it's very important that we do whatever we can to protect them.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Morning everybody, and welcome to and Beyond Ngala. We've had a very misty start. Actually very misty. If you go down to the Timbavati riverbed, you can't even see 50 meters in front of you. But we didn't do that. We actually went further south. We came to check the eastern boundary, so we are right next to the tar road. We wanted to see if the rest of the Birmingham Pride has come back. The road we're driving on, though, it's basically impossible to see the road itself, so I can't really look down for tracks. So what I'm looking for, especially, is to see if any of the grass is squeezed down. Does it look like animals have moved through them? Being a Pride Alliance, there'd be quite a bit of the grass actually squeezed down. As you can see in the frame, though, it's still quite misty as you go down into the valley and, of course, into the Timbavati riverbed. So this morning, you are with me, Rowan, behind the camera, Odie, and we are on the search for the rest of the Birmingham Pride. We had a few reports, one report yesterday that the white lions were seen a little bit further down south on the tar road. So this is why we're checking this position. If you remember, last night we checked a little bit further down and on the tar road, but nothing on that side. So we're hoping that they might have crossed in a little bit further north. One can only hope. So I'm going to continue a little bit further down, and then it turns into black cotton swirl, and we don't want to get stuck, so we'll turn around before that. Rule, another ranger, is checking south as well on a road parallel to us, actually where the camera is facing now. One of the roads we drove yesterday to see if maybe they didn't cross in more south. So fingers crossed we could find the other half of the Birmingham Pride, the half we have not seen for a very long time. So far it seems that, well, it's quite chilly. I'm wearing a fleece for the first time in a long time. But I think once this mist wears off, it's going to get very hot. I think our prediction is for 31 degrees Celsius today. Lovely morning. So I'm going to continue driving a little bit down this road. I think, as you can see in front of me, there are two tire tracks, but you can't exactly see the ground. So That's what I was saying. We just look for tracks in the grass, see if anything has been flattened. Has anything moved through here? Also, the roads coming on the the cars driving on the tar road, none of them have stopped and told us they've seen lions. All of them are just slowly moving through. There's a car that just stopped thinking we saw something. And it was just, hi, good morning, sorry, no, we haven't seen anything. So we'll continue a little bit further down, turn around, go up north, check the eastern boundary on that side. But for now, I'll send you to Taylor, who wants to say good morning.
It's another fabulous start to the morning here at Ndlovu Dam. As you may have seen, a hippo with its head just above the water, and then of course a family of Egyptian geese. These seem to be the regulars here at this watering hole, which is more like a lake than anything at the moment. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Niels, and we are here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is part of Baluli Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger Park. And I think it's going to be a very, very busy day. It's going to be quite warm, and yesterday you couldn't even see the edge of the dam because it was surrounded by elephants, and there's also a buffalo in the area, so that's what we're going to be looking for today. But it's nice to have our friend the hippo back in the water. Some of you may remember him from a few months ago. I don't know if it's the same individual, but doesn't seem to be too perturbed by us as we're standing safely up quite high on a steep dam wall, just keeping a close eye on us. I'm sure he's rather happy with our presence as we're not jumping about, splashing around in the water and annoying him like the elephants do, but never fear, hippo. The elephants will be here in a little bit. But something else that I found so amazing, and I actually just wanted to show you, is yesterday I was talking a little bit about all the erosion that's happened, and you can clearly see, but there, in the afternoon, with it being so hot and all the elephants coming around, it was quite difficult for them to all go down the easier spots because they were just blocking the pathways, and the dam wall is very narrow as is. And I'm going to try, without slipping into the water. It's unbelievable that there are some elephants that have actually gone down here. You can see the marks where their feet have slid down. So obviously this patch over here, and there's a perfect circle just down on this little piece where elephants must shimmy, shuffle very, very slowly, and they manage to put at least one of their front feet down over there and then being able to step into the water. I'm not sure how deep it is over here, but I still think that that's very impressive for an animal that weighs a few tons. And even to some degree, it looks like they've actually gone down right where your feet are and maybe hugged that side of the bank. But I reckon that they would have slid down. You can't see it from that angle, unfortunately, and I'm not going to make Niels come and climb down here. But on the underside, the sharp edging of the wall, there's also footprints that look like they put their feet and slid them down. I mean, I think we sometimes don't realize how long elephants' front legs are and how they can extend and stretch out. So they're actually fairly good climbers, much better than, of course, I am. I'm going to try and get up now. Wait. And the other thing you can sort of see, you might see Willem in the background, is how narrow the dam wall actually is. So for a really massive animal that is just as tall, almost as it is wide, well, not quite, but you get what I mean, they're really large. It must be quite difficult for them, especially when there's quite a few walking along here in single file. But anyways, off you go back across. I think you're going to the Sabi Sand to Lauren, who's just on a bit of a morning bumble.
I'm at the Hyena Den. I checked my sort of section of the reserve this morning. There's lots of people out, so what we do is we divide and conquer. We all take a section to check for tracks. Well, see any tracks in the west, but we are all doing. I do have a bit of a situation on my hat. Is it here, Dobby? He's decided not to leave, and that's okay. Doesn't want to steer the car anymore, but he's welcome to sit on my hat. If he is happy there. Okay, we're at day number 1. I don't see any spotty bodies, but let's go and check. It's so overgrown, they could of course just be lying there. Although the sun is up, it's Davy's got his jacket on. I'm braving it. Scottish after all. But it's definitely a little bit chilly this morning. Hello, Juma clan. Anybody home? Okay, there's no one at the mound, but that doesn't mean they're not all scattered around. You have to drive extremely slowly because the cubs bound towards you to greet you. They run towards the car. Tima likes to sit there. She's not there. Okay, den number 1 at least does not appear to be active. But let's try den number 3. I believe they're just running amok between the 2 dens at the moment. So we may as well try. Okay, fingers crossed it's someone. We had a lovely sighting last night, though. Jerome, I can't feel a single thing. It's extremely light. He crawled on my face earlier. I don't know if crawled is the right word, but he walked on my face. That was a little bit tickly, but on my hand, I can't feel him. I just think insects are so wonderful. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure I would do the same if it was a spider. Not sure I would be so comfortable with a spider on my face. But this little guy is so lovely, and he was so cold this morning, and he was hanging off our sort of coffee pot. Couldn't move, no energy, so we moved him, and then he just became very attached to our car. So we're taking him on a bumble. He's never been on a bumble before. Oh my goodness, Davy, I think that spider web's coming for your face. We're almost there. Let's do a check together. Den number 3 is literally just round here. There's a lovely little road now. It used to be, okay, Franklin, it used to be a game path. But I can definitely say it's now a road. Davy, did you get that? One more time, Jag. I see bodies, but I just don't know if there's an adult here. Hello? Todd, yes. It does enjoy my company very much, so I don't know why. Hello, Shimbulu. Why do you look so sad and cute this morning? Well, Ngwazi and Shimbulu are definitely here. I don't see any signs of adults, so, which, as you know, means we have to leave. Now, for the sort of individuals that are Ngwazi and Shimbulu's size, they're a little bit more safer than the smaller ones, but, oh, look at him, he's cold. I told you, there's a nip in the air. Okay, Davy, where is this little guy? I'm a bit confused. Oh, where are you going? Look at the colors, everybody. Yellow at the front, pink, green. Ah. This is not going to make life very easy for me. Okay, we'll do our best. Bye, Ngwazi. Bye, Shimbulu. Sleep well. I'm not sure how I can reverse with this guy on my shoulder. Davy, you can assist me here so I don't hit that stump. Davy's giving me the thumbs up. It means I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Okay, we're going to head south now, see if we can pick up any other animals. And for now, over to Rowan, who's on a bumbo.
So we've come back into Antelope. We're away from the boundary now. It's just that section of soil is known as black cotton soil, and if we drive into it, especially after this, or the rain, with the water table being so high, we will definitely get stuck there. And then, yeah, it's the other rangers make fun of you because you got stuck and you have to call someone from Safari Lodge to come pull you out. It's just an absolute disaster. So we would rather not do it to anyone this morning. So we decided, let's come a little bit north, push this way. There are tracks of a leopard that went straight past Tented Camp. I think probably went into the river. So maybe that's another thing we can check for a little bit later once we've checked all the boundaries. But yeah, the mist is wearing off and it is getting hotter very quickly, I must say. Although you can see still a lot of wetness on the grass. I'm very happy I'm not walking this morning. I think Taylor might be on foot, so good luck to her. So I'm just looking down every now and then to scan for tracks of these lions. Especially after the mist and after a bit of rain, we found tracks of the lions. They're all going the opposite direction, so the direction we were coming from. I'm going to reverse. It's just quite nice to see. See, in between the tire tracks. See, OD, I'm going to jump out and show this quickly. Just unhook all the cables. So in between all the tire tracks, they've been walking here, and it looks like there are tracks of quite a couple of big females and then smaller sub-adults. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is the other half of Birmingham Pride. Now we just need to try to figure out which way they go. Are they turning west? Did they go back east? So once again, we will turn around and go back that way and try to figure it out. Thing is, this is our main road. This road leads from, or basically the exit road where we came from, to Safari Lodge. So a lot of people have been driving in and out already, so it's going to take quite a while to try to figure out where the tracks are, where they go. But I'm pretty sure it won't be that long. I mean, not turn around there, otherwise we'll get stuck. That's all. That's good news. You can see this is on top of majority of the dew for the morning. They look quite fresh. So fingers crossed they did not go east. Fingers crossed they actually went towards the riverbed. So we'll definitely check that little avenue. Looks good to turn around on. Jason, so you can usually see how fresh they are just by looking at them, what animals have crossed over the tracks. So certain animals are highly nocturnal, things like genet, civets. Hyenas walk around majority of the time either early morning or at night. And then, of course, Franklin spurfowls, they are diurnal. So if you start seeing lion tracks on top of Franklin tracks, you know they are very, very fresh, especially in the morning, because the Franklins will be on the road early morning as the sun starts to rise. Whereas if there are genet tracks and civet tracks on top of the lion tracks, they're a little bit older. So Jason, yeah, good question. And then, of course, the direction that the tracks are pointing in, that tells you a lot. Hence why we have turned around now. Let me stop here and actually have a look. Okay, so the tracks are no longer on the road, which means they would have turned off here. So I'll be spending quite a bit of my time off the vehicle, just for a little while, to see where they've gone. Whether they cut east or west. Let me not reverse OD into a tree here. Cool, so while we do a bit of tracking, we're going to send you over to Andrew, who's also on the look for something special.
So we just gonna now talk about a little bit of a spider web, which is much visible due to the mist that we have this morning. So all the mist stuck in the web, so it comes so much visible than in a normal day. So this is one of a also tropical spider web. And then it's all over. There's quite a lot of them around here. But you cannot notice that there's so many. Until you see them. And that is actually well set up there. It's bigger than those we keep seeing all the time. And it's probably aimed in a good position for caught somebody who would fly past by. I don't think there's anybody there. Look. I don't see the spider, probably still hiding in the center somewhere. Highly technique builder. When you do it, it takes a lot of time. Paula saying, what a big spider web. It's big actually, but for such a small spider, I just can't see it there. I don't know if it's still well hidden in there because with the mist, it's wet. You know, we're traveling up and down, so when we go downhill, this is where the sun hasn't burned these web yet, where there's still a lot of mist dropping to the ground or to grasses. So it's more of a dew wet grasses. Which means, you know, if it's any cat around in this area in terms of leopards or lions, they're mainly likely to be on either road or up in trees when they wanted to move, because when the grass is wet, many cats don't want to get wet. And now our aim, we're going to check the eastern cut line where Torchwood and the Juma joined there, see if there's any things we're going to find. So, Tony, you're asking, do the mist make a lot harder for the animal to hunt? One thing for sure, so the visual can be a little bit difficult, as for us as well, but they rather wait if then is difficult until it's possible for them to hunt. So yeah, sometimes can make it harder for these carnivore species to see through the mist. Also can be a lot harder for the prey species to see their safety around them. Sure, it looks like everywhere we would drive, it's so much of these, they come so visible, this spider web, it's just because of this mist that is still coming down. And then we're driving now on a low ground where there's still a lot of temperature still drop here. The sun hasn't penetrated through, so it's not warm yet, came through. But in the next few hours, we drive here, you won't know, even recognize we drove here. Because it's going to be without any of this web that is available right now. And these spiders, they're doing a very important job. On the other hand, in terms of controlling all the flies, mosquitoes, some insect that you don't need on you, or animal don't really appreciate them, spider will deal with them. Just for an example, if we could actually zoom out in this area here, just to see, because now we're going to be looking through the sun and you can experience how so many of the web that is out there. But also, if you look at the grass, you can see that there's still dew there, so the grass is still wet. But the spider won't appreciate such weather. With this web, when it's now like this, it doesn't work as normal when it's a dry day. Because it works, it's got to be sticky. That's how they caught their prey. So Sam, you're asking, can a different spider build a same nest in the same area? Each spider has to build its own nest. So it's rare that you see spiders combine in building nests. That's not happening. It's all different species build their own. Unless if these are all communal spider, which they're all now a whole family member colony, of course they can build such a massive, because they work together. But those are solitary. Each one has to have its own. And some nests can be well abandoned due to maybe the spider move or die. It happens, it die naturally, or what happened usually is the female, the spiders, would kill the male after the mating, after the fertilize of eggs, not actually proper mate. Yeah, some spiders are harder actually, have a fascinating life where the now reproduction, the male has got to be careful approach in the area where the female is. And then she's got to make sure female maybe drop the eggs or sperm, and then where male will actually go into that area, deposit. And that's how the fertilized eggs fertilize from there. But so I'm going to carry on. We'll experience a lot of this web that's all over in these bushes. But no, let's look for something else.
Just look at that. It is absolutely incredible. And as far as I can see, that all falls within the reserve. So it is a vast landscape, but we are gifted with these incredible things, you know, the wildcats, the aardvark, you name it. It just keeps on delivering. It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here.
And when you think it could not get better, Mother Nature says, hold on tight.
Oh my word, that is gorgeous. We are cooking on gas this afternoon.
Have a look at what we've got. Look at how this is the best day of my gutting career so far.
We have a baby pangolin, We're just gonna go very quietly. There's your aardvark. And for those of you who've never seen one, this is one of the big safari specials on any reserve.
I'm just holding my cap because otherwise it's going to blow away, and with this storm coming towards us.
Absolutely beautiful to be able to see water flowing in this volume in the Kalahari. Oh, look at that. You can see the structural component of these flowers. It is perfect. Such a treat to be in and amongst these incredible insects. How lucky are we? You can see how close they are to the vehicle. Very curious.
Oh, you can do it! There we go. We made it over. Whew. But look at that view. That's absolutely stunning.
You can see how they're going into stalking mode. Okay, there we go. This one female is gonna walk straight past the car now. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. I mean, do we just not have the best jobs in the world? That was epic.
Great, everybody. So we have left all the spiders now. We got all four. Looks like four of a male water bike around here, where it looks like it's all amazing to see all. Looks like fully grown animal. But 4 males. This is what happens with the water bike, where the dominant males, you would be polite enough to allow a non-dominant bulls to join him or be with him in the area of his dominant. And not always that they always have females all the time, so it happens. But if it's not business on females, you do find dominant males on his own. But now there are 4 here. and they're actually very cool antelope. So they caught its old glands covered with gland oilish secretion that would prevent animals having ticks or carrier ticks. And that's why these oxpecker birds that they associate with many of an antelope, they don't really like being with the waterbuck because they don't get anything, any food from this animal. So James is asking, do waterbuck have a social structure? So the females, they are more likely to be in a herd, in that they mainly sometimes be mixed slightly with the other antelope, but they always has to be isolated as one group in the area. And the dominant males sometimes approaches them or spend time with them. So yeah, you do find about 15 females with one male. Depends, sometimes they're quite actually rare antelope, especially where there's not much of water. You won't see much of this antelope. And that social structures also apply the same with these young bull, where they just move off of their mothers. You're more likely to find 7 or 8 young male together. So Brian, you're asking if this ring around these animals' back serves any purposes. Yes, it helps the other member of the same species when because now we talk about social structures. Being in a group, it means that they have to see one another. So when they move through the dark, and that white ring still advertise their visual. For those on front, there's still those on the back. Keep the sight of those in front. And that's how they keep together, because they don't have many of a pattern except for that neck underneath it's white, and also those eyes is little kind of a white, but these are also the visual communications. So it is follow me mechanism, these rings. If you would compare this antelope to a kudu, where kudu have long neck, this animal, it's got a fully thick neck, hairy coat, but also these young ones, they have a youngest coat, and they, as they grow up, developed adult coat. So this is the normal color of an antelope that we see in there. Critter Freak, so you're saying it's such a majestic horn. Yes, it is indeed. And it's 99 centimeter long length of fully grown waterbuck. So it's actually straight up and slightly forward. But they would use them for defense against the other male, fighting for dominate. Those male, they do fight for dominate. That's why they would carry on. But it is beautiful, especially seeing four. I've only seen one was a few days ago move into thicket, but it's also good to see more than one. So they're now far from the water, but their name came from how they use the water as a, self-defense. So they run into water when they get chased, and they're actually a very good swimmer. But they would spend a lot of time also feed reeds, and they can go inside the water halfway in, and they spend time that they don't mind, their hoof don't mind getting wet. This one is getting brave, and the rest have moved off, but this one is still nice and beautiful view. So, Jennifer, you're asking if do any other animal with horn come charge at the vehicles? That could happen in the wild, especially in the whole reserve where there's a lot of aggressive buffaloes. There's, rhino that can come charge at the vehicles. But mainly the antelope, they don't do that unless if they're cornered. But these rhinos and all as elephant, they have tusks, of course. But when they would charge a vehicle, then of course they would first things disturb the vehicle. This tusk are trying to roll over us. With the rhino, would trying to. Is the only thing he got. It's a horn in front of him, so charge and fight, you would use that as a weapon. But many of the antelope, no, they don't charge vehicles or human. But for self-defense, yes, that could happen then. So animal, when they're in the wood, as you can see, every time he look at us or look around, it's all about listening around. And they've seen a lot of a problem with getting hunted by any of the lions, any of the predators around here. So we've seen these full-grown animals. It's all about making sure they survive out of this wood. So it's not that they don't get hunted. They do get hunted, but they're going to make sure they see the predators before closer to them. In that way, they have to rely. So you're asking if the any antelope with this big horn makes any difficult situation when they run. Kudu would have difficult situation when they run. And then even these animals, 99 centimeters long, so what they do, they make sure they lean his horn against their neck and shoulders, especially with the kudu, because they have a long horn. That's how they make it through this wood. Otherwise, it results in breaking this horn off when they're running. So yeah, all animals that with a length of a horn can be result in break horn if they don't, lean this, neck against or this horn against their neck. Oh, he's gonna run. Oh, he ran. Wow, it was beautiful to spend time with a more than one waterbuck where we don't mainly, there's still a visual of him there. So when most of the antelope they're in the bush, or most of the prey species, now we can see some impala on the right. Looks like also they were in the area because of the finding friends to hang around with, which is the waterbuck. And then, so all the animals, they have to rely on one another, especially antelopes. But in that case, at the same time, they would listen to any stress sound from birds, can be any of other animal around here. And then once they know this is actually not a normal communication from that animal, this is a distress call, and they will also be aware of could be something that hunting in this area, hunting us. So all they do, they would feed, but then they would be watching out. So they would also get help from birds and various different species of animal around here. I'm sure this impala will keep up with the waterbuck, because waterbuck there seems to be slightly bigger in terms of seen around in this area. That's why they were slightly closer around together. Sometimes they would love to hang around with giraffe if there's a giraffe around. Because giraffe can see further away. That impala never stopped looking at us. But sense of smells on all antelope is great, so from just smelling at the danger, they wouldn't even know there's a danger. And they move out. But they're far in the thick, tall grass. But they have to do it because they have to eat during the course of the day. So we're going to carry on. I'm going to leave this Impala. I'm going to carry on down to the eastern cut line there, just to see if we could maybe see any lion tracks that came about, or any of a maybe leopard or a cheetah, whoever. I haven't actually seen cheetah in a while, especially in this cheetah cut line where we're going. So everybody, I'm going to check that the boundary cut line, see if I can find anything for everyone to have a look.
Wild Earth explorer Jenny recently joined Tristan as he broadcast live from Juma.
Awesome to kind of have a guest on board. I'm looking forward to this. This is Jenny.
Hi everyone.
And Jenny is the first of our Ticket to Dream holders.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Literally being with Tristan on the vehicle today has been incredible. It has truly been a dream come true.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I would highly recommend being a part of the Explorer program and being able to be a part of an interactive live drive.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
So we decided to take the optimistic approach and just check the riverbed, see if the lions came in, because I think, like I mentioned yesterday, they would not lie in the thick grass. It's just too wet. So we thought, okay, maybe they crossed west and they came into the river. So we had to make this new path in the river and see how far we got. And we nearly got to the next crossing, but then it's just too wet. So far, no tracks crossing over. Yeah, sadly. But we'll go back and then check the eastern boundary and hopefully find no tracks crossing over there, and then we know they're in the property. We often get this question though. When you see our tracks in the river, it goes like this, and a lot of our guests comment that, were you guys drunk when you made this track? Because we wind all the way through. And this is actually quite a prime example, because we had to carve this new track in the Timavati riverbed. What we're looking for is more dried up sand. So there are certain places, like here next to us, where it's just too wet, and we would definitely get stuck trying to cross into that. I mean, we would just get bogged down very quickly with all the water. So hence why we make all these turns and loops inside the riverbed. But so far, good morning. We haven't seen a single thing. But this also happens. This could change like that though. So also we haven't really traveled very far. We are spending a lot of time just in the eastern corner of Ingala. I know Roo is coming back now. It sounds like he's driving National Geographic, so he'll be in this area as well, trying to look for the white lines. Oof. See up ahead, there's still water in the tire tracks. So this just shows how high the water table is actually. But there's a crossing not too far from here called Sable Crossing, so we'll take that and go up to the northern bank, though where we are now, that would count more as the western bank. Just easier to say north and south than the Timbavati because it basically bisects the property. Got about 17 kilometers of this pristine riverbed that we can drive on and beyond Ingala. And such a special place. I mean, the trees growing along here is just phenomenal. So I think Fred just left camp. He's going to go pick up guests from the treehouse, and then he'll be out and about as well. And the treehouse is actually very close to where that lioness is denning with the brand new cubs, which we haven't seen. So I'm pretty sure he'll leave the treehouse and go check there right away. So we'll be waiting for that update as well. Dan the man, sorry, I think I got half of that question. Would the lions travel far from the cub? Depends on their hunting. It's usually not too far. But then, like a lioness can cover a huge difference. A huge distance at night. So it depends how successfully they hunt. Where she's denning at the moment, there's a big clearing just south of her, and every single time we've driven through there's a number of impala and some wildebeest as well, so she doesn't need to travel too far to try hunt. Otherwise, if she goes north, there's also a big clearing with quite a couple of watering holes. So no, I don't think she travels too far. Otherwise, we've seen that young lioness, when she was denning last year, I think the furthest she got from the cubs as a crow flies was probably about 7 kilometers, which sounds very far, but for lioness, it's quick to cover that distance. And like you saw yesterday or the night before, those cubs, when it's sleep time, they know they go into very thick vegetation and they'll stay right there. They'll just carry on sleeping for the night and not make a sound. So they know very well not to venture out and not to attract any attention to them. Come, little car. So now I slowed down to look at tracks, which were only hyena tracks, and the car's just getting slower and slower. But it's fine. Here we'll catch some grip and then go, well, hopefully. Be lovely to get stuck on live TV. So there are fresh hyena tracks all along here. It looks like a small hyena track's only this big. There we go, got traction again. Also didn't see tracks of that male leopard crossing over, so maybe he just went in front of tented camp. So this is Sable Crossing. Should go first gear for this. We are in low range. Not too much left here of a road. Okay, so from here we get into quite a thick road known as Big Bend. We'll take that north again and then move towards our eastern boundary. But while we do so, we'll send you back to Taylor.
Now, You're probably all saying, Taylor, get down from that tree, because if anybody's going to fall or trip or do something silly, it'll be me, because I'm so accident prone. But anyways, I've climbed up onto this marula tree that has been snapped right in the middle of the trunk, which is quite a strong part of the tree. Now, it wasn't an elephant that has done this, but if you look very, very carefully, you'll see that it's actually burnt, and how this has turned to sort of charcoal. Look at that. So this tree was actually struck by lightning. Now, we've had some unbelievable lightning storms over this past rainy season, starting from last year, and it's coming to an end now. And there are plenty of trees on Pridelands that you can find like this. We're very quick to go, oh, you know, those pesky elephants. I don't think they're pesky, sometimes. But in fact, this was lightning. Now, this must have been one serious bolt of lightning that did this, because it has struck it right in the center of the tree, so basically where the heartwood would be, and it has completely snapped it off. It's not, like I said, it's quite a thick branch to have done this. Of course, an elephant could have definitely done this, but when a lightning bolt does strike a tree, as you know, when you go past this outer layer, the stuff here that sort of protects the tree, and you move onto the inside layer just below that, where you get the cambium layer, which is where all the nutrients are transported from the roots up to the leaves. So you get the xylem and the phloem. There's a lot of water in those cells, and that starts to boil. And if it's a big enough bolt, it can eventually make the tree explode, like what has happened over here. Sometimes you'll get just a crack in the tree, which will definitely weaken it, and maybe it'll fall over at some point, but this would have happened instantaneously, and this would have sounded very much like a gunshot from a high caliber rifle. So definitely needs to be moved out of the road, but unfortunately the habitat management team hasn't quite got to that just yet. But even though it has damaged this tree, which is unfortunate, because we know how precious marula trees are, or any of our tall trees are, especially for nesting birds, it is going to create a nice little niche for some smaller creatures. So squirrels would definitely like to clamber around here. It might offer some quick protection, and I have seen lots and lots of little diurnal geckos and some skinks that have come out and are sunning themselves on this branch, so they'll just be living in and around over here. Not much is going to be able to go inside there, but now that the cambium layer is exposed, you'll probably see that we'll get lots of boring beetles boring through this, because they find it very difficult to get through the outer layer of the bark. Normally elephants, when they ring bark trees, if the tree isn't insect resistant, you'll find these big holes that start to develop, and the boring beetles will lay their eggs inside there, and then it will become a hotspot for the woodpeckers and hoopoes that love to feed on the larvae of those beetles. But now I need to try and get down and off from this tree, so off we go across to Andrew to see how his morning is faring.
So now we got a tree squirrels also basking in there. It's all about they're warm before they go forage. Maybe it was a lot of misty. Most of these animals, they wouldn't like to move around in that wet coat. They just get out of the tree holes somewhere there. And there it's actually beautiful sun coming through. And they all started to move around, search for various different nuts, pods from trees. It's quite a lot of marula nuts which is lying everywhere from these elephants' dung, since they were eating a lot of them during that fruit. Oops. A little bit of alarm, not sure. Maybe seen a bird of prey far away. So this, our tree squirrels is very small compared to a ground squirrels.
How many?
And the tree squirrels are one of the squirrels that, they do kind of like very good communication or alarm when they see a danger around them, and they give such a call, and they're always just going to look in that direction. And sometimes they stand on a little hind leg up. Maybe they were slept into this tree here, I think. Dorothy Ann, you're saying they are so cute? I agree with you, they're so cute. With these colors they have as well. Tawny, goldish colors. Slightly lighter color they got. If I don't know if I want to go back to that fog, and then if left of that there's another one coming out of the hole there. Looks like they were sleeping in this tree hole. That one is about to come out. Half a tail is still in that little burrow. So MK asking what size are they at birth? Not sure, so they only weigh, when they're fully grown, over 250 kilogram. So probably tiny things at birth. And the men of these squirrels are born with no hair on their coat, only develop hair when they're grown up. And that one is about to come out. Looks like it's one of the youngest. So social structure, you do find tree squirrels in group of up to 4, 3, possibly 5. And there's a time you'll see maybe 1 or 2. Jerome, so you're asking if the squirrels eat meat, and I haven't actually seen a squirrel eat meat yet. And they would eat nuts, various berries which inside a little stone, and then they actually have to have a very, 4 pair of a, modified tooth where they were able to, bite through whatever. marula stone is actually very hard, but they were able to work it on a net. But yeah, they are nut feeders, pretty much. They maybe can, but I'm not sure. So in that hole, it's going to be a lot of various different type of grasses collected into that burrow. Make a little bit of a warren, just like the rabbits do when they're in hiding places when they give birth into these curved things. The rats would do the same as well. These mouse, they would smooth their nest using various different feather from birds, hairs from people where there's a lot of people moving around, cutting hair and lying all over. And so smooth in there where they sleep, but they can change home from time to time due to fleas. Those are the parasite now. That little one is going up. Jamie, you're asking if they hibernate during the winter. No, they don't hibernate during the winter. They're all out here, all throughout the year. So they're vulnerable to bird of prey, seen leopard hunt, tree squirrels hunt on mongoose, snakes. And these squirrels won't fight like these dwarf mongoose, defend themselves against the snakes. So they gotta be careful wherever they are, not to be where there's a lot of snake. It's all about the grooming together. Groom the young one. Still a little fluffy though. Checking for a parasite on its tail. So Darcy, and you're asking what is the difference between the tree squirrels and the ground squirrels? So tree squirrels, you know, the size so small. They only weigh over about 200 grams. And then I'm not sure with the ground squirrels what they weigh, but they're probably bigger than this one. So there's a difference in size. And the tree squirrel is the smallest. I'm not just sure whether the ground squirrels weigh, but they probably weigh more than this. They're only 35 centimeters long. And their lifespan is around 7 to 8 years lifespan, so that's what they are. So I'm in the boundary now, looking around for any track of a cat that I can follow this morning.
I'm absolutely delighted to have won the February prize draw for 3 nights for 6 people at the Juma Private Game Reserve. I absolutely love everything Wild Earth has to offer. I find the guides extremely knowledgeable and will go above and beyond to ensure a great safari experience. I will be taking my husband and family from the UK to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One of the main reasons I joined the Wild Earth Explorer program was for the fireside chats and also to win an incredible prize, which I am so fortunate to win and incredibly happy. I would like to thank Wild Earth for this amazing prize and cannot wait to meet the team.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sub-adults and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Hello, I'm Marna, your Wild Earth Safari Guide from and beyond Gala. What I really like about connecting with Wild Earth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the Wild Earth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on Wild Earth.
This is a battle of 2 great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth.
The quarantine impalas. They have to be my absolute favorite impalas. I'm convinced it's the same herd, and they really don't move far. Water is available everywhere. There's probably small puddles and little holes in the ground that are filled with water. They come to our camp, go to quarantine, come to our camp, go to quarantine. It's quite the life. And as I mentioned the other day, it's all about to change. And it's very remarkable how the process starts. The rutting season is not so simple as waking up on the 1st of April and saying, guys, it's April Fool's Day today. But it's also the day that rutting starts. Let the games begin. Not quite. It's all about cues, and it does start with an environmental cue, which is the shorter day lengths, and then that triggers a biological cue, which is a rise in testosterone. That biological cue then triggers a behavioural cue. Of course, the testosterone rise is obviously going to affect the behaviour of the males. They start to behave different. The rutting behaviours begin. Then the behaviour of the males triggers a cue in the females. It triggers a biological cue in the females, and that is, of course, it induces them into estrus. It brings them into estrus. So it goes from environmental to sort of biological or physiological, behavioural, and it's just a knock-on effect. So it's not immediate. And once the females start to go into the estrus, that's, of course, when mating will occur, naturally. And the male will be very possessive over his females. He will herd them, just like a sheepdog herds sheep. And that's exactly what it's called, sheepdog herding. But the territories that they set up, they dissolve. They're not permanent territories. And it's said, on average, a male will only really hold a territory with his females for about 8 days on average. So just over a week. And then, of course, the territory will start to dissolve and weaken because the male will weaken. He's not grooming, which is really important in impalas because they carry a high tick load. And he's also not really feeding. It's just constant territorial behaviour. So he exhausts himself. He loses condition. It's all about the ladies. He's driven by complete desire for the females. And of course, all the chemical scents that he will be receiving in his nostrils will just be estrus cycle scents. And that's why during the rutting season, when you see sort of leopards with kills or even lions, it's normally the males because they've lost focus. So the males that get through the rutting season are obviously very much the stronger ones. They've survived. So it's quite a process. It's not quite so simple as just rutting season beginning. And I've noticed a lot of the male impalas, not all, but the older ones, the older rams, their necks are starting to thicken. So things are slowly starting to change within the impalas. But normally it's around the start of April that the day lengths shorten because winter is coming, and that's what triggers the onset of the domino effect. And if you think about it, it really is just the stronger males that make it through the rutting season because that's how it works in nature. The weaker males are naturally going to be plucked off by the predators so that their genes do not sort of continue. You want the strong genes to spread amongst the females. The strongest males will win. Okay, we're going to bumble around quarantine, see what we can find, and for now, over to Andrew.
Good luck, Lawrence. We got a now colony of mongoose. Well, this mound here looks like this is what they use for now because I think I've been seeing them now 3 times. I was just checking here. And now this is how I can tell, because it's the only time they move out, that they use this one. And they have their young one there as well. Maybe that's why they use the same mound from now. Oh, there was a lizard. I think it was a bladed lizard there. I'm sure it will come back. And that giant plated lizard, it's amazing how there's a kind of like a relationship happening between the mongoose and that. So which means the mongoose defecate, and then that lizard would feast on a mongoose waste, which is interesting. That's why when they find them always in the same area, they can share same den. So I'm going to stay put. I'm going to be sending you across to Ntswalo for them to say hello to everybody.
Well, welcome to the ancient and vast landscape of Ntswalo. A very good morning to everybody, and it's fantastic to be on board back with you. Lovely amalgamation of male giraffe here, all doing their thing. Just really a beautiful morning. We had a little bit of rain between 4:30 and about 7:30 this morning, and it is just gloomy and cloudy, but it is fantastic to be out here. Good morning, my name is Kyle, and you are joining myself and BK. Thank you very much for joining us, and it is a perfect morning to be out on game drive. A little bit of cloud cover, a little bit of moisture, animals are moving, it is cool, it is perfect. And to be back with you folks is wonderful. Myself and BK will be exploring this wonderful land with you folks for the next couple of days. And we are going to be turning this place inside and out. And we are very lucky to be in and amongst this group of male giraffe. About 10, 11 of them over here. And this is the stage that they'll be in this group, this male grouping, through this period until they reach maturity. Well, full maturity, it's when they actually want to be by themselves at the age of 7, 8 years old. But right now, having a sparring partner, and as well as a friend to watch your back is much needed at this point. So a lot of moisture would have been deposited on the vegetation from last night's rain or early hours this morning. And these guys will be getting a little bit of moisture from their browsing behavior now. So from about 4:30, we had the rain touch the land last night. And these guys munching away. You can see from the thickness and as well as the structural component of those horn-like structures, the ossicones, you can definitely see that these are all bulls because they are dead straight and they are very thick. So a very quick indication that these are all males here. And they're actually moving downwind. If you think about vegetation, obviously having a physical deterrent, such as thorns and spines, it's one efficient way, but they also have a chemical defense mechanism that will deter herbivores like this. And the wind is slightly pushing from the northeast. So these animals are actually browsing downwind at the moment. They'll turn a bit later and actually start moving up into the wind. That trees above their mark will not be notified of their presence. Otherwise now, with them going downwind, they have a very short browsing time on these trees, because the tree downward would have been notified from the tree behind it that there is a potential threat coming, and you need to kick in those compounds, those tannins, to make your leaves distasteful to these animals. Wow, very, very beautiful. So munching away and moving along as they go. Wow. Became really making the scene really special. I mean, that is so beautiful. So the birds are just starting to wake up now. Obviously with the cloud cover that we have, they would start a little bit later in comparison to if the sun was out at 5 o'clock or 5:30 this morning. Whew. Lovely. So at about the age of 7 years old, these males would find the urge to break away from this group and adopt a more solitary form of life. But now, through this period, through these ages, this is where you'd want to be in a group of males, just like this. One which moves gracefully. It is such a fitting statement. Sandy, it is a very beautiful scene, and BK really showing off his skills with the camera. I'm telling you now, I would make it look very, very poor behind that thing. But BK just showing us how really beautiful this place is. It's magnificent. Think about the giraffe here, that rolling hill in the background, and then you have that mountain. You can see the clouds in the background. So there wasn't a lot of rain, but we won't complain about any water that touches this land. It's always a blessing when we have some water. So you can see they didn't stop there long at all. How quick they're just moving, continuously moving and progressing on their route. Patricia, how vulnerable are animals to lightning? So tall animals like this, you definitely at a higher risk. So animals do get hit by lightning. We actually had a giraffe a couple of months ago out in the west that got hit by lightning, and you'd find that not a lot of animals touched it. You'd see that the spotted hyena, the brown hyena, the jackal, even the jackal didn't feed off that carcass. So lightning will hit the highest point, and giraffe do get struck by lightning every now and then. I'm not sure about other animals like elephant and that. But giraffe, it's actually been 2 or 3 times I've heard in the past 5 years, for example, and giraffe being hit by lightning. And a few other animals would definitely seek shelter. I'm also a bit bung of lightning. So finding a bush or a nice shaded spot. Elise, why do giraffe differ in colour? So across the board, across the continent and globally, you'd find that animals would be suited into an area, obviously over a time, but being in an area for an extended period of time, they'll actually have a colour patterning that would best suit them to the environment. Geographical variation. These are some young individuals. See, that one is very, very pale. And males do tend to be darker as they get older, and that would be due to testosterone. But you'd find that animals would be a bit lighter in these more western regions. Look on our left here, Bika. Western regions where we are a bit hotter. And obviously if you were very, very dark, it wouldn't be comfortable, it wouldn't be viable for this animal. So yeah, so females would find that they are generally lighter, but males will get darker. You can see this individual over here, he is older. You can see from his body condition, you can see his mass. He is a little bit older, so over the years testosterone has influenced his pigmentation, or the color of his coat, sorry. And he is darker than the one that we were just looking at. It's actually going to come into frame now, and then you would see the striking difference of these two animals. Look at that, sure. So remember, each individual has its own unique pattern, but as well as their color is unique to them as well. There's the strength of their coat, or the color. It's getting hard now. Wild Earth fanatic, is it unusual to see a group of giraffe? So they are gregarious animals, so they can form mixed herds. You'd find that females generally stay in a group, but then there's no long-lasting bonds between these individuals. Males do wander a bit more than females do, and they also, in their older years, become a bit more solitary. But when they're within a group, it's not uncommon, but then they can move freely between groups as they wish. Temporary association, unlike an elephant, a herd of elephant, which would have a very strong bond between individuals, and they'll be very, very tightly joined, said that socially. So giraffe groupings like this, you can find males in these male groups, bachelor herds, and then female groups moving to and fro from group to group. But no, it's not uncommon to see groups of giraffe like this. Yo, that long tongue. It's just effortless how they move. Just cutting through the landscape with the greatest of ease. They are really fascinating animals in all aspects. They are really remarkable creatures. See those whitewashed ears? Very important visual cues for giraffe at night time. Those white ears will be used as homing beacons or beacons, so members can actually see where other giraffe are. Lovely. Look at that. It's like he's, the one on the right there, it's like he was watching the sunrise. Magnificent. Okay, so they have moved off. We'll let them do their thing. But I think we're going to start the vehicle, and we're just going to drive nice and slowly south of here. After the little bit of rain that we had last night, it is perfect to see tracks with a little bit of moisture on top of the sand. Where animals walk now, they make this perfect imprint. But while I look for a few tracks here with BK, we're going to send you off to somebody else for a little bit.
So Carl, I'm glad you're having better luck than me tracking. We have now checked the eastern boundary, the river, and actually driving back to where the spot was where we found the tracks in the first place. And I can't see anything crossing out, and there's nothing in the river, so we've got one more road left to drive just down the power lines to see if we can actually find it. But it's so rocky there, so it'd be impossible to see tracks whatsoever. Bit frustrating, but these things happen. If it was easy, it wouldn't be as much fun. Let's go to the left again. So they walked all the way up this road. And they've actually been doing it for the past 4 days. As they come in the middle of the night, they walk up the road, and then they cross out again. And I don't know why, they just don't stay here. We've got a theory thinking that usually the grass isn't this long and you'll find a lot of wildebeest and impala right in this area, so good hunting. But now the grass is too long, so you don't really find a lot of wildebeest or impala sleeping in those areas because of ambush predators like lions. So they just don't spend their time here anymore, which is rather sad. Like I said, it's been weeks since it's been months since I've seen this part of the Pride. Because I was on leave for a while, and then ever since I've been back, they haven't been on the property. But anyway, they should come back. We also wonder if the old lionesses, if they are pregnant again, and I'm pretty sure if they are, they would come back towards the Timavati to den, because they've done so for the past nearly 10 years. They've always been on the property when they're denning. So judging by the tracks, there's one very big lion track, and this would be the young male. So he's still with the Pride, which is good news. I'm pretty sure that would make everyone happy. Definitely has a much larger track than the two Ross males. Lovely to see him grow up. Judging by his brother's size, so his brother is a dominant male in the Manuleti, known as the Red Road male. And he's taken over territory there, and he is enormous. Also by himself, which is something quite amazing in this area, being a lone male. I mean, here you've got the two Ross males, then you've got the Orpin males, you've got the Mberi males, both of them, coalitions, all of them coalitions. And then you've got the Red Road male, which is just holding on to a territory by himself. So I've got, high hopes for this young Birmingham male. Yeah, it's quite a nice game path that heads further west. On this side, see, so there's no grass flattened on the eastern side, which suggests they made their way back. But we'll continue looking for this Pride or looking for their tracks and send you back over to Kyle at Tswalu.
Well, these lions seem like they are giving Rowan a little bit of a run for his money this morning. Lions can be very tricky sometimes. If they don't want to be found, they will stick into the darkest little nooks and crannies that is inaccessible. We are very lucky this side. Lovely little bird, very, very distinctive bird, and easy to recognize if you look at those nice, beautiful pink legs, white belly, and then that beautiful pinkish reddish beak, and then that distinctive little crown that bird has got, that white stripe producing this crown on top of its head. This is a crowned lapwing. Very, very distinctive birds. And the whole lapwing family will be categorized by having this general shape. Obviously the color would vary, the plumage, the color would vary across different species, but this being a very distinctive and prominent species displayed here on Tswalu. So it's more than likely mom and dad here with previous offspring. You can see there's actually 3 of them. It's not uncommon to see them in small family groups through a certain or given period of the year. These short, open, grassy areas is definitely where they prefer to be. Lovely. And also one bird that will not hesitate coming down at you with ferocious aggression if you get too close to the nest, because they are ground nesters, so making a slight depression in the ground, and then they'll lay these beautifully cryptically colored eggs. So a lovely bird calling on the right-hand side here. There it is there, BK. If you want to swing around quickly, we've got a crimson-breasted shrike in this blackthorn. It's just sitting, peering through the top of the canopy of this blackthorn. Oh, and there he goes. Oh. Striking colours. Whoa. One more time. Very distinctive call. And if you can't recognize the bird by the call, excuse me, that color scheme is very, very easy. Sorry. Wow. I'm waiting for the day I get to see the yellow morph. Beautiful call. Wow. Normally a very sneaky bird. It loves to be in the thick undergrowth of bushes and trees, where it obviously would seek available prey, but they're also found on the ground as well, on the ground where they also look for food. Insects of various kinds. Here. Here's another one here, BK. Here's the partner here on the right-hand side of this blackthorn. Oh, and there it goes. Very lucky to see that bird like that. When it comes to birders and especially photography, getting that bird the right place, the right time, you've got to be very lucky, because that is normally how we see them. Great. Crimson-breasted shrike. Ah, and our crowned lapwings are gone as well. Okay, well then, let's start up, and we are going to keep on moving slowly south. A little bit of grass. Andrew, what lapwing species can be found on Tswalu? Crowned lapwing is the one we see the most, and the only one that we actually have here. Crowned lapwing. Yeah, it is only the crowned lapwing. Sorry, I feel like my brain, it's almost like scrambled eggs this morning, folks. I don't know why. But crowned lapwing is the species that we have here, and the only one that we see. Yeah, very, very beautiful bird, and there's one or two species that are still eluding me, especially from the Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape going up to KwaZulu-Natal. They're normally found in fields, open fields, and there's one or two species of lapwing that are still out of my list. I'm still hot after them. Lovely and cool. It's mornings like this that I relish. This is when the guide and animals can just go on forever, because it is just so perfect. BK is very wrapped up. I haven't seen him since I've started working with him in long pants. He is fully clothed today. Long pants, long big jacket. And he is well suited for the weather this morning.
It's the month of March, and Wild Earth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the Wild Earth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
I got into wildlife filmmaking because of a passion for nature and a notion that I could make a difference. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun. A couple of times per week, we receive some very heartfelt messages from viewers telling us about how Wild Earth has made a difference in their life, whether it's helped them through a difficult period or simply helped them to reconnect with nature. I think that's why we do what we do.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Juma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
So we're at the Twin Dam here, where a rock lecawan, a rock water monitor lizard, pardon me. So water monitor lizard, which is actually basking, about to get out of the water now. And what we've seen there, it's actually been bounced by a bird. And it's still the bird that we can hear in the background. And that's a blacksmith lapwing. So they won't get along because this lizard would eat various eggs of a bird's chicks as well, bird chicks. Even a full-grown bird that they cannot help themselves or move immediately. So that's why it's trying to make sure that the lecawan or water monitor lizard stay away. But it won't happen because they both rely on water, this bird also. So it's all about now, basking for now, before it goes forage. And may return back to the water, hunt around the water. You see, most of these species of lizard, they are protected in South Africa due to African traditional healers or ritual African muti. And they will need it for various skin, claws, bone. but it's just so great to see them in a reserve where they're well protected. Enemy for now would be a leopard, would be a bird of prey, which is usually my shoal eagle will deal with such a large lizard like this. They can actually get up to possibly 1.3 or 1 meter long length, so they actually can get long. So I'm going to carry on and search around here. I'm going to be sending you across to Bradlands with Tapel.
So we've done exactly the same thing. Come and looked around a watering hole because we haven't had much luck sort of in the grasslands searching for the buffalo. But that's okay because we're right outside the eco-training camp at the moment here at Ndlovu Dam where we started our walk off. And of course we've got some elephants that are swimming. Just a couple of bulls enjoying the morning. It is starting to get quite hot now. I'm not sure what the temperature is going to be today, but I suspect late 20s, maybe early 30s, as it usually is. They're just having the time of their life. Not too much jumping and splashing around. I think that they've been here for quite some time, so now they're just floating about, relaxing. Maybe they're also enjoying the sounds of the bush this morning. What you can't see, though, it's a bit difficult from this angle, is that there is one elephant that's up on the steep bank looking down on the others. He's causing quite a stir this morning. But there is so much to see around at the dam. I don't know where the hippo has gone, so I'm just going to keep an eye out for that we don't happen upon him. It wouldn't be very fun. But I have also seen quite a few squirrels. And then, Niels, I don't know if you can see on this leadwood tree that's closest to us in the water, can you see that there is a branch that goes up to the left? There is some white stuff on it. It looks like cotton candy. So most of you know what that is and have seen it a number of times, but they seem to be the only frogs that are about at the moment. So those are the foam nest frogs. That's the nest of a foam nest frog. But I haven't really seen any more clumps of eggs or strings of eggs from the toads. So it looks like that breeding season is done for them and they've had all the tadpoles that they can possibly have. But perhaps there's just a few foam nest frogs that are still giving it a bash and will hopefully either hatch or it's hard to see. I can't even tell you if that nest has already dropped its tadpoles. You can normally only see from the underside, and then obviously as the nest starts to get older, it sort of starts to like fizzle away. Well, it doesn't fizzle away, but it just deteriorates and it looks like cotton candy that's been washed away in the rain. That was the trumpet of that naughty elephant that was standing up on the wall. Is playing around at the moment. Very excited by something in the water. You can see he's slapping his trunk around on the surface edge. But off you go, all the way to the northern parts of South Africa, to Karl, and to see what's happening at Swallow.
Wow, scrambled egg is literally what my brain feels like this morning. Blacksmith lapwing, how could I have forgotten blacksmith lapwing? Oh my word. We're talking about birds here, guys, and I forgot blacksmith lapwing. Scrambled egg, fried egg, omelette. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, BK, don't laugh at me. So, blacksmith lapwing and crown lapwing are the two lapwing species that we have here. BK is just going to clean off the wonderful eye there. We experience a little drop or two. So he's just going to clean it up for us there so that you guys can have a clear view of us meandering through this wonderful land. I want to show everybody what these armored ground katydids do through the night. So finding a little spot and hanging on is what they do. And it's quite nice looking at the grass and you can see them just hanging on blades of grass. Obviously it's a little chilly and so they are a little lethargic right now through this given period. And as it warms up, they start becoming a little more active. So I apologize to the previous viewer there that asked that wonderful question, how many or what lapwing species we have here. So it's crowned and blacksmith. Pull myself towards myself. So they are just hanging on there. It's obviously a safer option being on a blade of grass like it instead of being on the ground. So you'll find a lot of them in and amongst the trees, hanging on branches and little leaves there, but in the grassy patches like this is also where they would find a spot to reside. So you can get a nice chomp. I had one when I was busy doing meerkats yesterday, one walk up the back of my neck and crawl over me. I got such a fright. And you obviously don't want to flick it and hit it off you, so I had to basically take everything inside of me not to flick it, like to take it off gently, because, you know, I'm sitting on the ground and I can't hurt an animal because it's doing what it needs to do. Sure. But it crawling over you is not the nicest of feelings. And they can give you quite a good chomp. We actually had a person that was bitten on the toe a couple of days ago. So those external moving mouth parts can give you quite a little nip. And it's starting to come down. Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is start the vehicle and maybe start moving towards a little bit of cover, because we are starting to experience a little bit of rain here, folks. So we're going to start up and we're just going to move that away, that we are somewhere near base, just in case this decides to come down properly. But let's send you over to Ngala for a little bit.
Well, we're definitely persistent, I can tell you that. So this is the last road that we need to check. Not much of a road, really, called the power lines. Quite rocky as well, Odie, hold on. But yeah, it's very hard to tell. I mean, they were walking perfectly in the middle of the road. And then from there, it looks like 3 or 4 vehicles have passed through the area already. So you can't really see on the side of the road whether they've gone east or west. So I'm remaining optimistic and thinking they've gone west. Might spend some time today after Wild Earth coming back to this area to try to figure it out. And we'll bring one of the trackers here as well, just to give us a hand. But yeah, luckily this goes all the way to the river, and we're gonna head down here. Hopefully they're on the road. If not, does not matter. We'll try again this afternoon. But like you can see, quite thickly overgrown. So you can basically only see the 2 tracks, but you won't be able to see a track crossing over here, sadly. You never know what else you can find. We used to have an old hyena den in this area as well. You could usually hear them all the way from Tented Camp, because it's not far. I mean, as a crow flies, Tented Camp is about 700 meters that way, not even, maybe 500 meters, half a kilometer, not too far. The issue, my reasoning for them not being on this road is the grass is too high. And like I said earlier, if they wanted to settle down, they would go somewhere where it's drier. Lions don't like water or wet fur that much, especially now. I mean, my shoes are basically ruined for the rest of the day because of the grass seeds sticking to it. So you can imagine a lion with fur all across their body would be a lots of grass seeds sticking to them, especially carrot grass and things like that. It's how that grass disperse their seeds. Clever though, clever mechanism. This is also the territory of the Inyala female. So she hasn't been seen in 3 days now. And I was speaking to Nick and Ernest, he's one of the trackers, and they said they think she might be pregnant. So that'll be quite a bit of fun. Hopefully she gives it about another month before giving birth, so then some of the grass will die away and should be easier to track. because at this stage, you basically have to step on a leopard's tail before you actually find her, or him. In this case, Nyala female, being a female. Everywhere is still very wet, but it is warming up quite significantly. James asking for recent updates of the Makoti male. James, no, there hasn't been. I'm pretty sure he's a bit nervous of this area now, having a new male move in, even though it's the area that he's used to. But no, we haven't seen him in a long time. But like any leopard, like I'm trying to explain, is it will be very tough finding a leopard in this grass. You know, if we do see the Makoti male or even hear about the Makoti male, I would mention it on the show. But so it's been quite a long time. I think Dan might have seen him last. Hold on here, Odie, going down. Quite a steep bank. Quite eroded as well because of the rain, the recent rains we had. Got so many memories of leopards in this area. Black dam female hoisted a kudu in a tree there. I think actually the kudu's horns might still be in that tree. There's also on the same branch horns of an impala. I remember that was actually a Nyala female and her brother that was still in the area when she did that. You could see 3 leopards in a tree. Back then, they were a little bit unrelaxed. Nyala female more so than her brother. Okay, so we're going to continue down here. Head towards the river, see if we can find anything. But you guys are going back to Taylor.
Well, we didn't even have to reposition, which was really nice. We've actually just moved behind a fallen knobthorn tree, and the elephants have done all the hard work for us. So they've moved around from the corner that they tucked themselves in, and they are just sort of splashing about and come out into the open and actually come a little bit closer to us. I suspect that they are going to slowly make their way out in the next little while, and the spot that they were clambering up is not really the easiest place, so they might come out where we are, which means that we'll just move around then. But it is so funny. At one point there was a bit of a game of cat and mouse going on where they were chasing one another around, but it has seemed to have calmed down again. Now, of course, you all know that elephants are the happiest when they get to spend time in water. It doesn't matter how old or how young they are, they love it. And the other thing, of course, is the most important reason that elephants spend time in water, especially in areas like this where it gets so hot, is to, of course, cool themselves down. I'd just be in the water all day long if I was an elephant. And Ndlovu Dam at the moment is quite nice because I just stretch my trunk out and grab trunkfuls of grass every now and then maybe feed at night time. No, I'm just joking. That would not be the case. I then would not get the nutritional requirement as an elephant, as elephants have to eat for about 15 to 19 hours every single day, which is quite a bit. I don't think that they'll be feeding for as long in the summer months, though, because the vegetation is at its best after all the rain we've had. It's green, it's luscious, it's packed with all the vitamins and nutrients that they need, and so they don't need to eat as much, but they do need to still eat large quantities. We know that for an elephant to do well, it needs to eat 5% of its body weight every single day. But in summer, it's not really a challenge. In winter, that's a bit difficult, especially in areas like this, where all of the grass disappears. Well, some of it hangs about, but it's not always very tasty. Now they're moving back towards the northern side of the dam. Constant back and forth, back and forth. And we know down there, it's also really nice. It's a gentle slope that they can climb up. Sure. Hey, you don't think such a big animal can twist and turn the way that the elephants can? But did you see that one? It did a complete 180. And there's the cat and mouse game I was telling you about. The elephant in front is not happy. Sort of saying, leave me alone. And of course, the bullying that they do to one another is very important for the hierarchical status. They keep each other in check. So the older bulls, of course, are going to show the little ones and bring their egos back down. Make sure that they don't get ahead of themselves. And then the even bigger bulls, who really don't want to spend too much time with these youngsters, although the youngsters are typically in awe of the older bulls, and they will keep these sort of middle-aged fellas in line too. It's really fascinating to see how it works, and that's why I love coming to spend time at this dam. It's because when you have all the bulls around the watering hole and then you have a few different breeding herds coming through, the interactions are great. And there is a big elephant bull at the moment. He's just got one tusk. We saw him yesterday and he is in must. So best we not hang around here for too long, because I suspect that they'll be down here shortly. Well, I think we're going to head back around to the other side of camp and see what we can find there. Off we go to Lauren, who's just having a wonderful morning, enjoying the sun.
I didn't find much else on quarantine other than impala. So we're going to sit and admire the impala. They look so much more beautiful surrounded by the long vegetation of quarantine. As mixed ecotone feeders, they can literally feed on anything in summer. There's no limit. An excellent feeding strategy. There's actually a dead impala that's been killed by a leopard up at Sydney's dam. And they don't know who the leopard is. They're suspecting it may be Cara. It's a huge ram, and it's out in the open right next to the dam. And whoever made the kill has been chased off by a lot of vultures. It's a feeding frenzy up there. So I don't know if it was definitely Cara, but if it was, that's a big ram. But there was no trees around. So she obviously didn't leave herself the option to hoist, and it was too late. I'm looking around for the resident Impalas, but I don't see them. We've got about 5 bulls this day in our camp. We're right outside camp. But the Impalas never come in. They're always on the sort of perimeter, but they never actually enter into our camp. We have 2 bushbuck and about 5 Impalas that live inside our camp. Are you getting attacked by insects there, Dobby?
Yes,
My little, well, not so little, praying mantis flew off. He's off to seek others. Elizabeth, exactly. So beautiful and peaceful. And really, the vegetation is so long, it's really in the predator's favor. small leopardess could easily sneak up on these impala. Especially when they're too busy enjoying the delicious food. You can see these rams are friends for now. Acquaintances. That's not going to last. It's going to change very soon. They can be extremely aggressive with one another. They don't normally fight to death, though. It's generally one will back down. The more submissive one, the weaker one will back down. Okay, I'm going to sit and just enjoy quarantine. I'm going to send you guys across to Pride Lands.
And we're still enjoying Ndlovu Dam. Just as we were about to leave, won't believe it, a breeding herd of elephants popped on through. So they're standing right on the opposite side of the dam under a beautiful apple leaf tree. Goodness, that used to be one of their favorite rabbing posts, but unfortunately it's underwater at the moment. You can see them there. It's quite a nice spot actually to drink, because not only are you going to quench your thirst, but you can also stay nice and cool in the shade. It's a very picturesque scene at the moment, especially with the clouds and the bright blue sky behind it. It's making it very dramatic. It is so, so lovely at the moment. A lot of people always want to come on safari to South Africa in the winter months, especially up here in the Lowveld. It's obviously very good for game viewing. You can see a lot further into the bush. However, don't forget about green season. It is really, really beautiful. It's difficult to walk because the grass is really long and the vegetation, obviously, as we said, is quite thick. But in terms of contrasting colors, you really don't get any better. But that's not what I actually wanted to show you at the dam. There's one last thing that I thought we could maybe have a look at. It just requires me to shuffle my feet a little bit. We are going to move after this because soon we're going to be surrounded. But as you can imagine, if we have lots of elephants around, there's going to be a lot of elephant dung. And with all these trees surrounding the dam, there's also lots of squirrels about. They're really handy because they often point out when there's leopards and lions close by. And if you come and have a look over here, you can actually see how there was some marula nuts that the elephants had obviously fed on. Well, they would have fed on the entire fruit, and these squirrels have pulled it out of the dung. And I'm going to come closer to you, Niels, so you can actually see the teeth mark, the scraping here. Have a look at this. Let me try and get the light on it. But if you look very carefully, just on top, you might be able to see some marks. So basically this has gone through the digestive system of an elephant, and the squirrels have come through and started gnawing on it. And some of you have seen that there are two beautiful nuts that you can get out of the pip, the hard part of the seed, and then they'll take that. But what we are going to start to see a lot of is squirrels actually just collecting this entire bit of the marula fruit, this entire stone, I suppose is a better word to call it, and they'll actually store food. So they're going to start storing as much food as they can for the upcoming dry season, because there aren't as many fruiting trees around. And there actually are a number of different animals that will store food, including some bird species, which is really, really fascinating. But squirrels, I think, out of them all, probably do it the best. Not always easy to catch them on camera because they are so quick and they are sometimes quite shy. Now, you're not going to go too far away from us. Or if you go to Ngala, which as the crow flies, wouldn't take you very long to get there.
Okay, so we're checking some of the watering holes here. We had some impalas alarm calling. It sounded like in this direction, but so far no luck. Now we've stopped, and they've also stopped alarm calling. Beautiful pan system here to our left. I just stopped and listening. It's been an eventful morning without finding anything. Definitely tried our hardest. Basically 3 hours and 10 minutes of searching for a pride of lions. My mom always told me persistence is key, Rowan. And turns out this morning it wasn't. Yeah, complete silence from the impala now. So I don't know, often, impalas will start alarm calling if they see grass moving, because there's that uncertainty, or even if they just smell a predator in the area, they'll alarm call to try, say almost, I can see you, and you can't hunt me. You've lost the element of surprise. There's no chance you can actually find me now. And that might have been the case in this area, rather than seeing the actual predator, they could have just smelt it or just see grass moving, and that uncertainty caused them to alarm call. Because then when a predator loses the element of surprise, often leopards and lions will turn around. While dogs, on the other hand, they don't even alarm call. You'll just see impalas spread out and run very quickly. So we're going to sit here for a while. Hopefully they do alarm call. Maybe we'll check a little bit further east. But for now, I'll send you back to Andrew.
So cool, everybody. We got a very interesting antelope. Wow. Blue wildebeest, Gunu. But looks like we have one male at the moment. So, but this has typically happened with the blue wildebeest, where female they would be get around, they in group, and then where they don't have a limit of going, they can go wherever they want, where he has to stop following them because he's very much territorial right now. So he's got to be within his territory, wait for the female to sometimes visit him. So he's pretty much now watching out because he's only by himself. He's not having even an impala around here. So that's why when he feed, he always check because there's quite a lot of surprises could happen to him. Cats in this area, there will be Jackson, so you're asking what is the difference between the wildebeest species. So wildebeest species, this is a blue wildebeest, which is also a few other species of wildebeest that we don't have in this area, such as black wildebeest and white-bearded wildebeest as well. those we don't have. It's quite maybe a few of them, more than that I don't remember of, but they don't occur around here. This is the only species that we have. The horn structures very different to black wildebeest. Where black wildebeest, the horn grow kind of like low a bit and then up. Where these are spread pretty much like a cow and curved forward and slightly up. So, okay, you're asking, is it common to find a lone wildebeest? Yeah, it's very common. Since the male, once it comes and it dominates, and then all he does, he only patrols his territory, and then for that is the time that he's alone, is when the females have vanished. So the female, they're free home range. And that's only the problem. You find them quite often alone. It's because the female in group, and they would move away from him to some other male. Maybe a few different males out there that they may visit maybe in a week or 2 weeks later, and then that's the time they return back to him. So it's quite common to see lone bull, especially on the males. But he's not actually doing bad, so he's doing good, because see how he's check around. So Benilulu asking if wildebeest are bigger than kudu. Yeah, they slightly bigger than a kudu. Where male would weigh 250 kilogram, females 180 kilogram. So male would weigh more than a kudu. Looks like he's going to cross the road. So if you look at the antelope, although they have a mix of various different animals, just going to see how he's going to, because when they're centimark, they defecate, and now he's defecating there. So this is his territory. So he's got a low back, which is like a hyena, and a high front. And he's got a tail which looks like a horse's tail. The buffalo horn, slightly the same. Harley, so you're asking if you could tell, apart from the female and the male, looking at the horn, pretty much we look at the color of the animal. So, but then looking at the horn for the females can be slightly shorter. But it's so important that we check the color of the animal. So male is dark in color, where females, it's kind of like a brownish slightly in color. Lighter brown. So that's how you can tell. So male, it's always dark. And then his forehead is always dark, hairy. And of course, bigger in size, about more than a female. So looking at the horn, you may get confused a little bit, because they all have same horn. But also, you know, the horn for the male, they kind of like apart, where female there is a fur, where there is a, between the horn where they split, and it's also covered with hair. And then the males, is kind of like all separate. But it's formed kind of slightly bald, and then before twist to form that length of the horn, so that's different. You can look at it, but they can sometimes confuse if you don't understand this animal. And their stripe, it's actually a form of a hair, thick, a layer of a hair that is always all the way down, so it forms this little rich dark stripe with them. So I'm going to carry on and look around if I find anything else.
With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
Well, one track here in front of me, and then one track went right there. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Sorry, I'm gone behind the car. That's very rude of me. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Okay, so everybody, we've just bumped into Pride of Lion.
I'm Nikki here at Beyond Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
We're still sitting enjoying the peaceful moments of quarantine. It could be nighttime where you are. It could be first thing in the morning. It could be afternoon, but at least we can share these scenes with you. So let's just take a moment to listen to the sounds of the bush. Booty?
Boosie.
Boosie. No, they don't. They don't have a wide range of vocalizations. They have, the female has a contact sound, almost like a contact call, but it's very snorty, that she makes to her offspring when she's calling on them. They obviously have an alarm call, and that's one of the most iconic sounds here. And again, it's very snorty, because it's very nasal, if that makes sense. Nasal and guttural. And during the rutting season, which is what I was referring to earlier, the males have a very guttural sound that we can hear. And they're being very boisterous and chasing away other males and just generally being very territorial. And that's about the only sound you will really hear from an impala. Otherwise, they're silent. Why? They don't want to draw attention to themselves. Mothers need to call for their offspring to know if they're still alive and to keep them close. Alarm calls are important for life in the herd. And of course, when it's rutting season, well, the males don't really think about anything else, and that's why they're so vocal. The females are not. But it's not a wide range, and it's all sort of very... It's that you can hear that it's coming from the back of the throat. Alarm calls are extremely important for us to listen to. They will alarm call for hyenas, believe it or not, leopards and lions, and cheetah. We just don't see cheetah too often here. And what a peaceful way to end the drive on quarantine. Blue skies, sun is shining, surrounded by impala. So the most important thing I have to say is a big thank you to all of you. Thank you for jumping on board with us all and bumbling through the bush. Thank you for all your comments and all your questions. And we really do hope that you'll join us this afternoon. Until then,